good afternoon, depending where you are. Just before Sandeep ji walked in, we were all discussing what revival or what reinvention or what resurrection across India or any other region, which any of us have seen that has been successful. Most of the answers there were very few answers. And this is kind of the opening line as to why I wanted to talk about Murshidabad. There have been a lot of revival that happens, and it's generally by the government or by a rich foundation, and it's a trickle down effect. It does not come from the grassroots. What made Murshidabad's resurrection really, or reinvention, reimagined, how it's reimagined and contemporized its legacy, was the way that it's collectively and approached, and the multi-pronged approach of the gentleman behind it. And of course, you will be very polite and say it's all the MHDS, which is the Murshidabad Heritage Development Society, but it still started as a dream and a vision of one man. So before we start anything, I'm going to play a beautiful film, which he has created, which shares the story of what Murshidabad is and why it became so important to him to revive Murshidabad and its rich heritage, especially Azimganj and Jiaganj, the region which was known as the Sheherwali's region. Good afternoon to all of them. So opening up with the film, bear with us with patience. It's a 31-minute film, but I promise you're going to love it. So take it away, Ashwini.
In this film, we have tried to balance the mixture of fiction and non-fiction based on the history of the zamindars of Murshidabad.
राजा बाबू ये फिक्शन
काल्पनिक घटना
और नॉन फिक्शन
सत्य घटना.
अच्छा. और राजा बाबू मैं और एक बात बताना चाहूंगा. सिगरेट पीना स्वास्थ्य के लिए हानिकारक है. इससे कर्क रोग भी हो सकता है.
सही कहा सत्या. Cigarette smoking is injurious to health. It causes cancer.
हाँ राजा बाबू.
हेलो ओ संदीप जी, हेलो.
हाँ बोलिए.
मैं संदीप नौलखा जी का लॉयर बोल रहा हूँ रीमगंज से. और प्रॉपर्टी के विषय में जो आपसे बात हुई थी ना उदयनाथ जी के मिलकर साथ, प्रॉपर्टी आपकी है जी. कंग्रेचुलेशन. और कोर्ट के ऑर्डर भी आ गए हैं. आप जितनी जल्दी हो सके अजीमगंज आ गए सारे डॉक्यूमेंट समझ लीजिए. बाकी डिटेल्स मैं आपको मेल कर दिए. आप प्लीज चेक कर लीजिए.
हाँ जरूर. I'll get back to you soon.
Hope to see you soon in India, Reimaging.
Why we need to go to India? इसे भेज दो.
हाँ मैं भी वही सोच रहा था. मेरा एक दोस्त है वहाँ पे, प्रमोद, जो कि लोकल प्रमोटर है. वो सब संभाल लेगा. पर एक बार तो जाना ही पड़ेगा.
क्या फिर गांव में जाओ, ट्रेन में ट्रैवल करो. एसी भी नहीं होगी वहाँ पे. तुम यहीं से सब सेटलमेंट कर दो ना.
पहली बात तो सुप्रिया, अजीमगंज जब गाँव नहीं है. हाँ ट्रेन में जाना जरूर पड़ेगा, पर कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगी. एंड देयर में ट्रस्ट मी.
संदीप, इतनी बड़ी प्रॉपर्टी बेचकर तो हम लोग बहुत अमीर बन जाएंगे ना.
वो तो है.
फिर तो मेरे पास किसी चीज़ की कमी नहीं होगी. गाड़ी, BMW, ऑडी, ज्वेलरी, सब चीज़ होंगे मेरे पास.
बस और कुछ बचा नहीं है?
नहीं बहुत है अभी.
मैं तुम्हें लदा दूंगा ज्वेलरी से.
वाह.
और कुछ? वैसे तुम ज्वेलरी खाओगी ना, उस सिर पे लगाओगी.
राजा बाबू
वो तुम्हारा कोई आने वाला था ना.
हाँ सत्या नाम का. ओ वही है शायद.
आइए राजा बाबू. नमस्ते रानी. दीजिए मुझे दीजिए. राजा बाबू आने में कोई परेशानी नहीं हुई ना?
नहीं.
मैंने आप लोगों का रहने का और खाने का अच्छा बंदोबस्त किया है.
अच्छा.
आइए. आ जाइए। गोपाल, गर्म पानी तैयार करो।
ये रानी माँ किसे बोल रहा है?
वो हमारे पूर्वज यहाँ के जमींदार थे ना, और देखा जाए तो मैं भी यहाँ का जमींदार हूँ, और तुम मेरी रानी माँ।
वही जमींदार ना, जैसे फिल्मों में दिखाया जाता है, गरीबों को चाबुक मारते हुए, विलेन टाइप्स। मुझे नहीं बनना है कोई रानी माँ। वाह संदीप, देखो।
हेलो प्रमोद। हाँ, मैं यहाँ अजीमगंज आ गया हूँ, और शाम तक मुझे प्रॉपर्टीज़ के सब पेपर्स भी मिल जाएंगे लॉयर से। तो कल मिलकर डील फाइनल करते हैं।
रानी माँ,
ओके, सी यू, बाय। वो प्रमोद।
राजू बाबू, चाय।
तो क्या नाम बताया तुमने अपना?
सत्य।
सत्य। खड़े क्यों? बैठ जाओ।
नहीं राजू बाबू, ठीक है।
अरे बैठो ना यार, बैठो।
ये लीजिए।
हाँ, तो तुम कितने दिनों से काम कर रहे हो?
वो पता नहीं साहब, जब से होश संभाला है तब से काम ही कर रहा हूँ। आपके पूर्वज यहाँ के जमींदार थे और मेरे पूर्वज उनके सेवक। अब तो राजू बाबू ये हवेली तोड़ के ऊंची इमारत बनेगी, पता नहीं वहां पे काम मिलेगा भी या नहीं। पर आप तो मालिक लोग हो, जो भी कीजिएगा अच्छे कीजिएगा। रानी माँ, चाय पी लीजिए, ठंडी हो जाएगी। वो रानी माँ, अगर बुरा नहीं माने तो एक बात बताऊं?
बोलो।
वो हमारे जमींदार की सुबह चाबुक से शुरू नहीं होती थी।
तो फिर?
राजा बाबू, वे दिन बहुत खूबसूरत थे, जब सुबह की किरणें जमीन पर पड़ती थी। तब जैसे लगता था वो धूप ना सिर्फ प्रकृति की मुस्कान लौटाती थी, बल्कि जमींदार को नींद से उठाने का न्योता भी देती थी। जमीन तो उनकी ही थी, लेकिन पैर कीमती पादुका के बिना जमीन पर शोभा नहीं देते थे। और पानी की खुशबू।
पानी की खुशबू?
हाँ राजा बाबू, पानी की खुशबू। इत्र के बिना वो पानी पानी कैसा था? इत्र को पानी में मिलाकर जब जमींदार अपने बदन पे डालते थे, तब इत्र मिश्रित पानी के हर कण जमींदार के बदन पे गिरते ही उनको सारे दिन महकाने की जिम्मेदारी उठा लेते थे। आइए रानी, थोड़ा संभल के। ये है हमारे घर का मंदिर। आइए
चलो।
और राजा बाबू, तब सुबह की शुरुआत पूजा से ही होती थी। घोड़े का सलाम और पालकियों की आंचल के पीछे छुपी हुई भक्तिन की भेंट की थाल हर सुबह मंदिर में पेश होती थी। राजा बाबू, भक्ति से शक्ति आती है और शक्ति से आती है इच्छा, और भगवान को पाने के लिए बहुत शक्ति की जरूरत थी। एक एक विशाल पत्थर की भगवान स्थापना होगी, ये तो ठान लिया जमींदार ने। लेकिन प्रश्न ये था कि वो लाएंगे तो लाएंगे कैसे?
तो फिर कैसे लाया गया?
पहले बनाया गया, फिर लाया गया। मतलब रानी माँ, पहले ट्रेन लाइन बनाया गया और फिर उसमें आए भगवान।
माँ, और एक बड़ा नया महल बनाया है जियागंज में। नवाब और अन्य मेहमान वहाँ आते हैं, रहते हैं, तारीफ भी करते हैं। आप भी एक दिन चलिए ना माँ।
वहाँ जाके हम क्या करेंगे? अगर कोई मंदिर होता तो जाते और उसी बहाने महल भी देख लेते।
और फिर
क्या? मुंशी जी को बुलाया गया।
हुजूर, आपने मुझे याद किया?
हाँ हाँ, और एक मंदिर की स्थापना की जाए काठगोले पे। माँ की इच्छा है और काम कल ही शुरू करवाइए।
जी हुजूर।
अब जा सकते हैं।
जी।
माँ को काठगोला ले जाने के लिए मंदिर?
ऐसे ही हैं हम जमींदार।
हाँ रानी माँ।
अच्छा, वो क्या है?
वो है आम बगान।
ओह, आम बगान। लेट्स मूव टू आम बगान।
राजा बाबू, हमारे प्रजा में कोई ऐसा भी था जो अपनी वफादारी के लिए सदियों से प्रशंसा का पात्र बनता है।
और वो कौन था?
वो है हमारे जमींदारों के बगीचे का आम, मुर्शिदाबाद के आम। अंग्रेजों को हमारे भेजे हुए आम इतने पसंद आए थे कि वो चाहकर भी हमारे आमों का स्वाद भुला नहीं पाते थे। यहाँ तक कि रानी विक्टोरिया ने खुद हमारे हुजूर को शुक्रिया पत्र भी भेजा था।
हुजूर, आप कुछ बोलने वाले थे?
हाँ, मैं ये कह रहा था कि आज दोपहर को जो मैंने आम की खीर खाई थी वो बहुत ही स्वादिष्ट थी। तो आप मेरी तरफ से हर रसोइयों को 15 किलो आम भिजवा दीजिए, जितनी जल्दी हो सके।
जी जी हुजूर। और मैं आपको बताने ही वाला था कि आपने जो रानी विक्टोरिया को आम भेजे हैं वो उन्हें बहुत पसंद आए और
अच्छा।
वो शुक्रिया पत्र भी
तो
भेजे।
क्या कहा रानी विक्टोरिया ने?
उन्होंने कहा कि
I am highly pleased to eat the nectarous mango you've sent me with great courtesy. I appreciate your gift. The mangoes are so juicy and delicious. I look forward to this gift next year too.
सत्या,
हाँ
मैंने सुना है कि आम की देखभाल के लिए आम के प्रबंधक भी हुआ करते थे।
हाँ राजा बाबू, और इन दोनों का संबंध इतना अनोखा था कि आम के प्रबंधक आम को देखते ही बता सकते थे कि ये आम आज पूर्ण रूप से पक जाएगा या कुछ दिन और लगेंगे।
और जाहिर सी बात है, जमींदार के लिए तो सिर्फ साफ और बेदाग आम को ही चुना जाता होगा।
बिल्कुल। और उन नाजुक आमों को नजाकत से काटने की कला घर की महिला को बखूबी आती थी। और आमों के मौसम में मानो आमों का त्योहार मनाया जाता था और पकवान चाहे कुछ भी हो आमों से ही बनता था। सुबह आम की लस्सी, दोपहर में आम का टाल, रात में आम का रायता
और आम की खीर।
हाँ राजा बाबू, वो तो हमारी जमींदारों को बहुत पसंद था।
मुझे भी बहुत पसंद है।
और ये क्या है?
नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की चिट्ठी।
This is just to remind you about the help I want you to do about liberty. The situation is very, very critical and money is wanted very urgently. I'm heading for Allahabad tonight for AICC mutiny and shall be back by the end of this or the beginning of next month. If you can't come to Calcutta by the end of this month, I shall send you a wire as soon as I am back from Allahabad. Yours faithfully, Subhash Chandra Bose.
ये बहुत गर्व की बात है कि हम मिस्टर बोस की सहायता कर पा रहे हैं। और हाँ, बापूजी की चिट्ठी का क्या हुआ?
वो बापूजी के चिट्ठी का उत्तर हम लोगों ने भेज दिया है और उन्होंने खुद जवाब भेजा है।
I am sending
Prafulla Chandra to Azimganj to talk to you about the cordial help you wanted to do for the ashram. I feel obliged to you for your support to us in this moment of crisis. Yours faithfully, M.K. Gandhi.
देखिएगा उनसे कोई शिकायत ना आए, और हाँ, मिस्टर बोस की सहायता जल्द की जाए।
तो क्या उन जमींदारों का ध्यान सिर्फ दान पुण्य में था?
नहीं नहीं, मैंने सुना है उन जमींदारों का ध्यान सिर्फ दान पुण्य में नहीं बल्कि व्यवसाय में भी था। क्यों सत्या?
हाँ राजा बाबू। और रानी माँ, जो जमींदार अपनी जमीन का लगान नहीं दे पाते थे, हमारे जमींदार वो जमीन खरीद कर उनकी मिट्टी से भी सोना उगा देते थे। और तो और पैसे लेन देन का कारोबार इतने विश्वास के ऊपर टिका था कि जमींदारों के हाथ से निकले कागज को पैसे में बदलते देर न लगती थी।
ये लीजिए, ये कागज जगत सेठ को देने पर बालिका विद्यालय बनाने के लिए पर्याप्त पैसा वो दे देंगे।
जी हुजूर।
हमारे जमींदार ने सिर्फ विद्यालय ही नहीं बनाए थे, गरीब प्रजा के लिए अस्पताल, तीर्थयात्री के लिए धर्मशाला, बीमार गायों की आजीवन देखभाल करने के लिए गौशाला भी बनाए थे,
और प्रजा की मनोरंजन के लिए सिनेमा घर भी बनाया था।
वो आपको कैसे पता चला?
मैंने गूगल में सर्च किया है।
वो गूगल क्या होता है?
गूगल नहीं पता? अच्छा ठीक है, मैं तुम्हें बाद में बताऊंगा। अभी तुम मुझे मेरे पूर्वज के बारे में बताओ।
तो बताएंगे ना?
हाँ ठीक है।
अच्छा और रानी माँ, यहाँ होता था रोजाना दोपहर में दावत। तब तो खाने की बात ही कुछ अलग थी। महीने में 30 दिन रोजाना अलग अलग व्यंजन बनाए जाते थे,
और जरूर उन दिन बनाए हुए व्यंजन अगले 30 दिनों में
दोबारा नहीं
बनते थे।
महिलाओं के सब्जी काटने का अनोखा अंदाज और रसोइयों के हाथ से बना खाना, जब दोनों एक साथ मिलते थे, तब जमींदार और अन्य सदस्य के नाजुक जीव में स्वाद का एहसास आता था। चलिए राजा बाबू, चलिए
चलो।
और खाना खत्म करते ही पान का सिलसिला शुरू। और तब एक दो नहीं, करीबन 150 से 200 पान बनते थे हर रोज। मानो घर की महिलाएं हर सदस्य के मनपसंद स्वाद को पान के बीड़े में कैद कर पेश करती थी। और जैसे गुलाबी पान, जफरान पान, काजू पान, और कितने पान का नाम बताओ बाबू।
मुझे तो पान खाने का शौक हो रहा है।
तो चलिए राजा बाबू, खिलाते हैं आपको।
चलो। सुप्रिया, हमारे जमींदार बहुत शौकीन थे।
हाँ राजा, आप इत्र खरीदने की बात को ही पकड़ लीजिए। एक दिन में 2 से ज्यादा इत्र फड़कते नहीं थे।
क्यों?
जैसे विभिन्न इत्रों की महक अलग होती है, उसी तरह विभिन्न शरीर की महक भी अलग होती है। मुझ पर जो इत्र की महक अच्छी लगेगी, वो आपके शरीर में अच्छी नहीं भी लग सकती है। एक काम कीजिए, ये सब जनाना चौक भेज दीजिए।
तो हुजूर, आपके लिए
आज मेरे दोनों हाथ 2 किस्म के इत्रों से महक चुके हैं। आप कल आइएगा।
जी हुजूर।
जमींदारों को तो कपड़ों का बड़ा शौक होगा।
हाँ रानी माँ, अगर कपड़ों में थोड़ी सी भी सिलवटें पड़ जाए, वो पहनते ही नहीं थे। और गहनों का तो क्या कहना, इतने सारे आभूषण पहनते थे
कि घर की महिलाएं भी हार मान जाए।
बिल्कुल।
सिर्फ कपड़े और गहने नहीं, मैंने पापा से सुना है शाम के वक्त उनके मनोरंजन का भी आयोजन किया जाता था। हाँ, क्यों सत्या?
जैसे एक तरफ महिलाओं के हंसी के ठहाके हवेली में चारों तरफ गूंजती थी, वैसे ही जमींदार मजलिस में नृत्य और संगीत का लुत्फ लेते थे।
पल के लिए मुझे लगा कि मैं भी वही हूँ।
रानी, सुप्रिया, पता है सुप्रिया,
हाँ?
हमारे यहाँ की होली का त्योहार किसी जश्न से कम नहीं था।
अच्छा।
हाँ रानी माँ, और इस त्योहार का आयोजन महीनों पहले से शुरू हो जाता था। रंग बिरंगी फूलों की पंखुड़ियां और इत्र को मिलाकर जो खुशबूदार रंग बनते थे, उसे लगाकर जब जमींदार निकलते थे तो कोई भी आंख बंद करके कह सकता था कि कौन गुजर रहा है।
हेलो।
हेलो, मैं प्रमोद बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ प्रमोद, बोलो।
क्यों, कैसे हो?
बस चल रहा है।
वो संदीप, मैं तुम्हें ये बताने के लिए कॉल किया था कि तुम्हारे एडवांस का ड्राफ्ट रेडी है। क्या संदीप, तुम तो बहुत अमीर बनने वाले हो। काश मेरा भी कोई ऐसा चाचा होता। और संदीप, मैं प्लान कर रहा था, तुम सुन रहे हो ना?
हाँ हाँ सुन रहा हूँ।
वो जो तालाब है ना हवेली के पास, वहाँ पे एक बड़ा स्विमिंग पूल बनाऊंगा और बगीचा है, वहाँ पे बनेगा टेनिस कोर्ट। टेनिस कोर्ट वहाँ पे संदीप बहुत बढ़िया लगेगा। और ऑडिटोरियम के लिए वो मंदिर वाला जगह ही सही रहेगी। देखना मैं क्या क्या करता हूँ यहाँ पे। पूरा अजीमगंज देखेगा, देख लेना तुम। तो संदीप, कल मिलते हैं। गुड नाइट।
हाँ ठीक है, गुड नाइट।
रजू, आप अभी तक सोए नहीं?
सत्या, तो तुमने आगे का क्या सोचा है?
राजा बाबू, आप लोगों की सेवा करते करते कभी आगे की सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं महसूस हुई।
वो तो ठीक है, तुम काम क्या करोगे?
वो आप क्या कहते थे, वो गुगली या क्या?
गूगल।
हाँ, वही सीखूंगा।
वो तो ठीक है, पर हवेली तो बिक जाएगी।
पर राजा बाबू, जमीन तो यहीं रहेगी।
एक काम करो, तुम हमारे साथ अमेरिका चलो। देखो तुम मेहनती तो हो ही, मेरे साथ मेरे फैक्ट्री में काम करना।
राजा बाबू, आप कुछ दिन और रह जाइए ना, आप लोगों की सेवा करने का मुझे मौका भी मिलेगा।
देखो सत्या, मैं तुम्हें कैसे समझाऊं, हवेली तो बिक जाएगी, तुम रहोगे कहाँ, खाओगे क्या, काम क्या करोगे? इसलिए कह रहा हूँ सत्या, तुम हमारे साथ अमेरिका चलो, मेरी फैक्ट्री में काम करना और जितनी हो सके सेवा करना। क्या कहते हो?
राजा बाबू, जिस मिट्टी में हम लोग खड़े हैं, उसी मिट्टी में हमारी पूर्वज, आपकी पूर्वज की सेवा किया करते थे। हम लोगों ने हमेशा एक साथ सुख और दुख बांटे हैं। जिस शान से आपके पूर्वज यहाँ पे राज किया करते थे, उसी शान से हमारे पूर्वज उसको संभालते भी थे। राजा बाबू, इस मिट्टी को मैं छोड़ के नहीं जा पाऊंगा।
जो आपने स्टेशन बनवाया था उसे ब्रिटिश सरकार उठवा देना चाहती है, क्योंकि अजीमगंज सिटी और अजीमगंज जंक्शन के बीच का फासला सिर्फ एक ही मील का है और टिकट सिर्फ जंक्शन में ही मिलता है। इसलिए इसे उठवा देना चाहती है। पर अजीमगंज सिटी स्टेशन हमारी धरोहर है, इसे उठवा देना सही नहीं होगा। टिकट नहीं बिकने के कारण ब्रिटिश सरकार इसे उठवा देना चाहती है।
ब्रिटिश सरकार अजीमगंज स्टेशन बंद नहीं कर पाएगी। हमारे इतने कर्मचारी हैं, हर कोई रोज एक टिकट तो खरीद ही सकता है। कहीं जाए या ना जाए, और एक टिकट मैं भी खरीदूंगा हर रोज। क्यों मुंशी जी, हो जाएगा ना?
जी हुजूर।
राजा बाबू, सुबह हो गई है, उठ जाइए।
इसमें कौन आया होगा?
प्रमोद आया होगा प्रॉपर्टी का डील फाइनल करने।
संदीप है ना घर में? Hi Sandeep, how are you?
Hello.
After a long time. Well, सारे पेपर्स ठीक है। So, deal is final. वैसे 3 महीने लग जाएंगे मुझे इस हवेली को तोड़ने में, और उसके बाद 1 साल में यहाँ पे नई बिल्डिंग बन जाएगी विथ ऑल मॉडर्न फैसिलिटीज, जस्ट लाइक योर न्यूयॉर्क। ओह संदीप, वैसे तुम यहाँ और यहाँ पे बस साइन कर दो, बाकी सब मैं संभाल लूँगा।
इतनी बड़ी प्रॉपर्टी बेचकर तो हम लोग बहुत अमीर बन जाएंगे ना?
वो तो
फिर तो मेरे पास किसी चीज की कमी नहीं होगी। गाड़ी, BMW, ऑडी, ज्वेलरी, सब चीज होंगे मेरे पास।
मैं तुम्हें लगा दूंगा।
संदीप, हमें ये हवेली नहीं बेचनी चाहिए। संदीप, ये अजीमगंज की हवेली हमारी पहचान है। इसे उजाड़ना अपनी पहचान को नष्ट करने के बराबर होगा, और अपनी बुनियाद को नष्ट करना सही नहीं होगा। संदीप, एक दिन में मुझे ये एहसास हुआ है कि इस हवेली के हर कोने में हमारे पूर्वजों की यादें हैं। हम इंडिया में भले ही ना रहे, बाहर रहते हैं, काम करेंगे, पैसे जमा करेंगे, और वापस आकर इस हवेली की हर टूटी हुई दीवार को फिर से जोड़ेंगे। आखिर हमारे बच्चे को भी तो पता चले हम कौन थे। क्या बोलते हो राजा बाबू?
प्रमोद, मैं अजीमगंज आया तो था इस प्रॉपर्टी को बेचने के लिए, और कल तक यही तय था, मगर किसी की बातों ने हमें बदल दिया। अब तो रानी माँ भी नहीं चाहती है, और राजा बाबू भी नहीं। ये प्रॉपर्टी मैं बेच नहीं पाऊंगा प्रमोद। आई एम सॉरी, आई एम एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी टू वेस्ट योर वैल्यूएबल टाइम।
Okay, not an issue. Actually, I agree with you on some points. But Sandeep, in future if you need any kind of assistance, just give me a call. Okay, yeah? I'll be there for you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And take care of this little heritage. वैसे चाय बहुत अच्छी थी.
सत्या ने
कौन सत्य?
सत्या ने बनाई थी.
ओके,
थैंक यू.
चलता हूँ. बाय.
बाय.
रज बाबू, आज तक मैंने आप लोगों की सेवा की. आज से मैं ये हवेली की सेवा करूंगा. शुक्रिया. रज बाबू, मुझे आशीर्वाद दीजिए.
मैं तुम्हें आशीर्वाद देने वाला कौन होता हूँ? मेरे पूर्वजों का आशीर्वाद तुम्हारे साथ सदा रहेगा सत्या. क्यों सुप्रिया? पर एक बात है, ये टोन तुमको कम करनी होगी.
ये तो आप लोगों की देन है. आप लोगों के बगीचे का आम खा के तो बना.
अरे ये तो किसी हवेली से कम नहीं है. इतनी सारी हवेलियाँ कैसे पालोगे? अरे और एक बात.
नहीं, ये क्या बता रहे रानी? मैं देखिए शादी कर
I want you to set the stage for the people who saw this film. Can you tell us about your dream and how this all began? Tell us about that singular dream and how did you weave it into a reality?
Well, the first time when I dreamt about this was 2010 January. And when I woke up the next morning, I decided to travel to Murshidabad after 40 years. And when I landed there, to my surprise, I found most of the Havelis shut. The temples, there were 14 Jain temples and most of them were closed. So, and the demographics were such that I felt that all this that I dreamt about, being our temples being broken down and the Havelis being captured and, we're losing out on this entire region because it's fantastic architecture and a lot of untold stories. So I came back and I started talking to all the stakeholders about its revival, and people thought I was mad. Something that has been shut for more than 40 years, that whole region. Why would somebody want to revive? And such a Herculean task, because there were 14 Jain temples, 10 beautiful Havelis, palaces, just in Azimganj. But what I decided was Azimganj should be the starting point and then take this whole initiative all over Murshidabad and see how Bengal would want to react to it. And now that we are finding fruits of that action, that finally a lot of work has happened in the last 11 years all over Bengal.
So what was the very beginning? What did you do? What was your strategy, and how did you say, okay, from point one to point B to, because like you said, I'm sure everybody must have said, you have to be kidding, you must be crazy. How can you do this? So not even the people, not even your cousins who owned the other Rajbaris, who were the other kings, or the Jamindars would even think of something like this. So how did you strategize, and what was your roadmap?
I used a multi-prong approach. What I did was first started speaking to all the stakeholders, which were my cousins and the trustees of these temples. And it was absolutely no for them for a few months. It went on. In the meantime, what I did, I also got the local, because I started understanding the local, the sentiments of the local people. And then I found that there was a huge problems in that region because of violence, for being a porous Bangladesh border. There was drug trafficking, women trafficking, cattle trafficking, all kinds of nuisance was happening in that region. So then my focus started shifting from just Azimganj to Murshidabad at large. And then we started introducing a program called the Art of Living, which is a stress management program in a very large scale. So by the time, we were getting the society, wanting to make a society and get people together, the shift had already started happening in a few months with the local communities. So that gave me a lot of confidence that I have a workforce of volunteers who are willing to support me, even though I had by then also no support from the local stakeholders. So that created a workforce. And then what I did was I started speaking to two spiritual leaders, Sri Ravi Shankarji and a Jain monk who is actually now the Acharya, who was also born in Azimganj. So he apparently has the people from his devotees are all from that region. So he finally agreed to this idea after I spoke to him that he will speak to all the stakeholders. And it was his intervention that helped me get all the people on board. That then finally we decided to launch the society. Where in Calcutta, where we had some 10,000 people for the launching of the Murshidabad Heritage Development Society at the Netaji Indoor Stadium on 4th November 2010.
And how did you galvanize people who had these properties who'd been there for about 50, 60 years, which they've never visited, they have no connect to? How did you bring them into saying, listen, guys, we have to do this? How did you start? I know part of it was the film, but
that was the most Herculean task, actually, because I had to visit several homes, which I was able to save maybe 20, 30, 40 times, and give them different kinds of fundamental reasons for changing their mindset. Also, sometimes I have to threaten them that I'll get these properties acquired by the Heritage Commission. So it was quite a challenge, using their connects, their contacts, their family members, talking to different groups of people who would, third party motivate them to save their property. So then finally, when we started working and we started hosting these festivals and we're bringing people on board, people were seeing it. It took a couple of years before people actually understood what was the bigger plan of that region. It was just not the festival. Festivals became a platform to showcase to the world, to bring international groups of people, create a buzz, and also promote the local artisans and the local folk performance artists, the trade, the boatsmen. There are lots of things that we did. It was we took a very holistic and a multi-pronged approach during the festivals, because that was one event that we wanted to do in Murshidabad that would create a bit of a sensation globally. And every event became a global event. And one of the events, we had people from 22 countries. So that was a big breakthrough.
Wow. And what was unique to me is how you made it inclusive and collaborative. So you not only did that, you not only brought the people on board and everything, but I also found that you actually worked with the tourist guides. Debashish is one of them. I was in the room The first thing he told me when I visited was, he told me about you. He says, you know, you have to visit Murshidabad Festival because that's where we come alive. So tell us about this approach. What was the strategy behind this approach of using film, festival, and international awareness to create actual change? How was this formed?
You know, what I did was I started working with the local colleges first, because they were the kids who were vandalizing the heritage properties. So we used to have for them photography exhibition, inter-college quiz, give them awards during the festival, bring them on platform, have on-stage programs with them. So what happened is they started, recognizing and valuing their own heritage. Then we used the local, for example, they have the horse-drawn carriages there, the Tangawaras, and the boatsmen and all of them. I started actually physically meeting these people, the unions, and started talking about how they will benefit in the long run. Then we started training the tour guides, which actually happened very recently, but it was an ongoing process. With many of them, we got them to do the Art of Living programs, and when we were there, we would give them a lot of importance during the festival, make them our brand ambassadors. Some of them, they were interacting with guests from around the world. Suddenly, the floodgate of international tourism, they could see there was a future that they could see that so many people from, our Havelis and palaces were closed. For example, the Kajgola was a shut property, and the moment it opened up, these guys created employment. And money started pouring in because the gate money was enough to do the maintenance. So typically on a good Sunday today, there are 25,000 people visiting Katgola. So there was a vision, there was a foresight that nothing is impossible. So we continued working.
Sorry, my bad. Please.
So I'm saying, you're persistently working, consistently working in a dream that you have to wanting to fulfill. It's a challenge, and it took many years before actually I could even see the basic shift happening. Maybe 3-4 years, and after that I was being recognized in the work that was happening. Because the first few years, everybody called me a madman when I used to go to Murshidabad, and I used to be there every month.
There was one more thing that I noticed, that you actually took a very hands-on approach of reviving even the heritage properties. So you went and you kind of got things that, because there was a big gap, the structure, the architectural, who would revive this? What were the earlier, like you said, you went to Dresden and got information. Please share how you actually hands-on took on the architectural revival also.
See, I was interacting with people from around the world due to my extensive travels that I do around always. 3-4 months in a year I'm overseas. So my exposure has already been there in seeing the revival of different heritage. Especially I'm still fascinated with the way Dresden has been revived, one of the finest restoration of any city that I can think of. So that became the benchmark for me. That, if Dresden can happen, if they took 20 years to do the whole revival of a city, we can also do it. And I would show them, all these stakeholders, videos and photographs. And when I'm traveling, I used to keep posting them, all the beautiful museums and all the heritage in Europe. So, spending 3 months average in a year in Europe was, and later on, I was spending 6 months in a year, continuously working towards finding what all has gone into the revival of the heritage of Europe after the World Wars. So, there were buildings in Europe which were completely bombed. Fortunately, we had buildings which had a ready structure. The revival cost would have been much less, and the time frame was much less. So people, it was a lot of hand-holding actually. I would say, it was consistent hand-holding. Like I would go to Katgola every month, spend, 1 or 2 days interacting with my cousins who own the property. So it went on. It just continuously went on.
Can you just list out some of the properties? And for example, I'm just going to introduce the audience to the property that they saw. The property that you saw as the Rajbari, where the Raja's story was enacted. Can you tell us the name of that property, sir, and how you did it?
It's a cart roller that belongs to the Dugars, which is from my grandmother's family. Then we did in fact, the Bari Koti was a revival started after seeing this film that you'll have all seen. It was so emotional from my nephew that he became, he and his dad, my cousin, were crying after seeing this film, and then they decided to take it on. And the Nasipur Rajbari was about, for me, maybe 30, 40 times that I had to visit. I had to interact with the family members to, convince them that they had to, work around within their families. That was another big challenge. So, then we, of course, had the spiritual leader, Sri Ravi Shankarji, in 2013, whom we took him from, to Murshidabad for 2 days, where he interacted with the whole lot of the imams, 150 imams of the Muslim community there, who at that point, there was a lot of turmoil in the civilian turmoil and a lot of unrest. So I wanted to even address that matter. And so he apparently looked into and met them, and then he met the stakeholders of all these Havelis, and also, motivated them, and he entered Bari Koti and he blessed the property. So a lot of that also was done, because I knew that, just my intervention is not enough. I needed the help of the spiritual master who could bless that region to a point where this kind of revival will take place. And I am very, blessed, and I'm very grateful to my master, Sri Ravi Shankar, who actually took on what I just made a request. Can we just go there for a day? And he said, yeah, let's do it. So I think that was a big blessings for that region.
So you brought in multiple stakeholders: governmental, non-governmental, spiritual, creative, corporate, family, and you began this entire revival of a region. And you did not just stop the architectural heritage, like Hema mentioned, the silk. I see your involvement in the fashion shows you do at Murshidabad Festival, the mango, the Sheherwali cuisine that you're reviving, and all the tangible and intangible heritage that you revived. But also you took on infrastructure revival. And you didn't do this to fill your pockets. You did this in a very comprehensive manner to benefit Murshidabad. Can you tell us about the ASI properties, the railways, the roads, the river, and the healthcare aspects that you kind of work with?
See, what we did was, as far as the healthcare goes, we personally got involved in funding some of the projects, the hospitals, because we already had hospitals built by my ancestors, my grandfather and my great-granduncles and all. So there was a connect. And so as a society, we decided to invest. In fact, during the COVID also, we did some work in creating a COVID care medical center. So that's for the medical. Then what we did was, I met Pranab Mukherjee at that time. He was a finance minister several times, and got him to get excited on the Murshidabad because that was his jurisdiction. And he apparently took this on very seriously, all my suggestions. I met the railway ministers, I met the railway head of the Eastern region, and motivated them that, there is enough business to introduce 2 more trains. And they actually did introduce 2 more trains with our intervention. We got the national NH34 project started recently. Last 2 years back, I met Mr. Gadkari, our transport minister, motivated him also to increase the budget for getting the roads infrastructure ready. So, I have actually worked with each and every department that needed a large scale infrastructure intervention from the civilian body. Normally what happens is these infrastructure, nobody bothers to talk to the government that there is a need and there's a requirement. Like right now, I'm working with the government to get the bunding done on the side of the river sub banks, because there's a lot of soil erosion. And if that happens, we will have a lot of Azimganj gone into the water. So the river is right there in the banks, and there's a huge erosion. So I've been interacting with the district magistrate and the principal secretaries of these departments. And because, when your interest is not for yourself, it's a selfless job. then it's very easy to access any hierarchy, whether it be the president of the country or the ministers or the secretaries. There is no block for me to approach them because it's just for their good.
I agree with you on that one. You know, Murshidabad has a very unique legacy of its own where Jains and Muslims have coexisted. Like you mentioned, that no matter what was razed to the ground, the Muslims never in any invasion have touched the Jain temples. Can you please tell us about this? And can you please tell us how you have very subtly, but you fostered this further?
You know, first of all, our ancestors were involved in funding the Muslims. So that's why the Muslims in this region did not destroy any of the Jain temples. They worked very closely together. And this community, the Sheherwali, very liberal community, you know, they had they were businessmen, most of them were super rich. They used to invite these people home, and there was no barrier between them as a religious barrier. So there was a lot of exchange. And when we migrated from Rajasthan, we also incorporated in their culture and their food habits, integrated that into our food, which is the Sheherwali cuisine, where it's a fusion of the Bengali, the Rajasthani, and the Awadhi and the Muslim cuisine. So that integration was a very positive, and of course the dialect. Even our dialect has got a lot of, Urdu words. So that was the way, that is what started. And then now what happened is, for me as an individual, I also don't have any, barriers or blocks about two religious organizations working together, because they are very much there. The 82% population of Murshidabad is Muslims, and recognizing that and bringing them in 2013 in one single platform, 150 of the imams with us, and understanding our requirements and sharing with them our vision plan and getting them blessed by Shri was a big breakthrough that we made in collaborating and working together. Today, all the best of the artisans and the carpenters and the masons come from Murshidabad. They travel around the world. So we recognize that. For the masons, we had a special training program. We started engaging with them, taking their advice as to how they used to do. Their grandparents used to build all these havelis. And they felt that, we were very supportive. And this whole Bari Koti revival that happened was with all local artisans and local, masons and carpenters. So that was another segment that, I wanted to give a little more attention to, and not, make them feel important and use the expertise.
So as this is a summit where we try to talk about the SDGs and how it's been implemented. So like I said, I see 4 SDGs here that have been ticked off. SDG 8 for decent work and economic growth. 10 for reduced inequalities and dignity of work. For 11, we all talk about urban and village and rural and how we can make life in cities and human development sustainable. You've shown how it can be done. And 12, SDG 12, which is about sustainable consumption and production. You actually tick the box for all of the revival of the tourism. But you also revived other experiences in Murshidabad. When someone comes to Murshidabad, beyond the beautiful Havelis and Kathkola trips and the beautiful palaces, and I can't even express how gorgeous the temples are, the river, the local dances, what else can someone look forward to?
The whole textile trade that, I've been working on with my friends who are in the textile business, they supported me by reviving the muslin trade. There used to be only one muslin weaver, 2012. Today, a friend of mine itself, she's running a very famous boutique here, and huge export house of fabrics from Bengal, decided to start their training with them, and start about 50 people are now engaged in weaving 500 pounds of muslin. So that was one of the very closely monitored initiative that I took. And then working on projects like the textiles, the Balutri textile, supporting the research work on the Balutri textile, So books were published in the last 10 years. 4 books on Baluchi has been published, and we've supported that head on. So the textiles, and then taking all the guests to the weavers village. There is a beautiful silk weaving village and we've been supporting that. Why they never used to even see an outsider there, in those villages. Suddenly every month they get to see visitors coming there, shopping from different parts of the world. So that has also encouraged them to, save this art. And then during the festival, we have a full craft bazaar with, maybe 40, 50 artisans showcasing their local produce, textiles and art and craft, handicrafts. So that is one of the things that, we've been able to revive in that region. Then we also did the food. We received our food, the Sheherwali food, which is by publishing a cookbook, the Sheherwali cookbook, and after that running a food festival at the ITC Hotel as an annual event, which is curated in a beautiful way. And it's the talk of the town. It's the event for the hotel because we have some 50 guests with 100 people for service and about 30 cooks doing a 7-course sit-down dinner. So it's absolutely, takes you back as if you're in the Buckingham Palace and you're enjoying a dinner with all the chandeliers on the table and, the lavish things that the way we would have enjoyed it, 70, 80 years back in our homes. So we've recreated that ambience and we've given that nazakat into the lifestyle. Our dressing, our clothes have been revived. We take pride now to wear our traditional hat that we have and in most of the community events. Earlier, the community events, people were wearing a print suit or jacket, and now most people wear our dhoti, kurta, and our pagri. So that revival has been, again, a very promising one. Then that region, the romance in that region, it's all along the river, and that whole city, Azimganj, it's like being in Venice. So people, when they come there, they can feel that what a beautiful romantic city it is. So people start talking about that, and they have a great experience and a great holiday. So I think that experience is also very beautiful. And then, of course, the revival of our rose water and the what do you call the whole. We have the perfumery industry there. So now that has become big. Now, hotels are buying the famous Murshidabad rose water. So we've kind of addressed not just the built heritage, but also these, important industries which were dying off, the craft industry which was dying off. So we now use those craftsmen to give the gifts to all the people who come, use them to, promote them, and during the festival especially. So it's been a great, I think, mission, physically being seen, implemented, and people are happy. Whoever is going to Murshidabad, they're very happy about this whole thing, and especially with the railways, adding more trains has helped commuting more easily. And the roads have become extremely good. Still another about 100 kilometers needs to be done. And I think hopefully within the next budget, it should be cleared. And once that is done and with the new railway coming up, it'll take just 3.5 hours from Calcutta to Murshidabad.
Okay, I know that everybody's saying, please hurry up, please hurry up. We are on 1 hour, but I refuse. I need 15 minutes more, Ashwini. I can see loads of questions. So please give me 2 minutes. I really
no problem. We can take 15 minutes. I know there are a lot of questions.
I'm going to make my next a bit short and crisp. Sorry.
No. We want that. And so has everybody. So don't make it short and crisp. They're going to have to keep the room open longer. I predicted this, Sandip, so don't tell me. Well, there was, during COVID, how did COVID hurt the people? COVID was a big blow to Murshidabad because it had just begun its journey and the festivals were happening. People were just beginning to listen. And then there was a lockdown. What happened?
Well, the whole world suffered. So there is no problem as far as I was not emotionally hurt because when the world is suffering at such a large scale, Murshidabad is just a small dot in the world map. So what we did was we started actually supporting the underprivileged and the needy with the food grains. And fortunately, I'm part of Art of Living, International Association for Human Values. So we were already working on that mission of providing free food from International Association for Human Values. And we also started working in Murshidabad to support them. And then we found there was a need to create a COVID care center in Azimganj. So the Murshidabad Heritage Development Society and few of us got together and financially supported a COVID care center with 20 beds. And we built that facility in less than a month. And we had all the state-of-the-art equipments and everything that was required to run the center in collaboration with the local municipality. And it's still running. And I think that was a great seva that we could contribute as a society to the community at large.
Very true. I was there during COVID. I saw the COVID center. We were lucky to have one of our teammates who needed that shot to get the shot over there. And we saw the kind of work you did hands-on. So what next for you? What is it that you, what is your dream? What's your next big dream?
You know, I dream every day, actually. But the thing is...
In CinemaScope, okay? In CinemaScope, reviving places, not just small little...
No. My mission has now become very national. I'm working, trying to figure out how to get this similar initiatives in Ayodhya, Lucknow, Chandanagar, Srirampur, and the West, and motivating the West Bengal government at large and taking them on board. Created a new department within the government body called the Heritage Tourism Wing for the in the Ministry of Tourism. They're starting to start seeing that importance of heritage tourism. So that's a big breakthrough, I think. And of course, both the tangible, intangible heritage people have started talking about. And it's fortunate that, you know, that in the last 5 years, in all these areas, people have become conscious. My role would be to create more awareness, do a bit of hand-holding in these places that I am already in contact and working with them, and trying to motivate a bunch of people who would drive these initiatives in their region. So that's my next big task.
And when we were speaking the initial stages, you mentioned something about going north, about going towards where the planters' bungalows were, north towards Kalimpong and Darjeeling, which desperately need you, as Catherine would put in. So please do look at that region.
Yes, the tea. What I have been able to do is motivate a few of the tea planters. I was there in Siliguri, in Darjeeling area, and I am trying to get the tea planters, because they are sitting on a lot of good heritage. Their stories, their buildings, all of this can be curated into one beautiful destination called the Tea Trail. 1 or 2 people have already started. We have few people already in this business, but the potential is tremendous.
True.
It can become a destination that people will travel just for tea tourism. So I think that's kind of happening. I started this tea tourism also about 12 years ago with the government of West Bengal. I had made several interesting presentations trying to get the government to release the blocked land and the excess land that they have in these tea plantations. But unfortunately, at that point of time, the government was not open to this idea. But fortunately, with my persistent nagging with a few of the bureaucrats, 4 years ago, they've opened the industry. They've allowed 10% of land usage for multi-use in the plantation. So that helps them now to get going on it. Yeah.
Catherine, you're going to have to get in touch with him. I will connect you both on email. They've got a beautiful power plateau near the tea estates, which, the Lepcha community, which really needs you, sir. But so does Islamapur and the turmeric villages, right beside where you have. So I've seen a lot of turmeric village, the Santal villages, and Islamapur, which also will see you. But I'm going to open this floor up for everybody else because I can see a lot of questions. Professor Vinodji, you wanted to ask something. Please go ahead and ask.
No, I actually don't want to ask anything. I just want to compliment you for this interaction, because this is something extremely fascinating, and I hope that the other state governments will actually get the inspirational success story of Murshidabad festival, and also the restoration of handicrafts and a lot of economic revival. In fact, you have touched all the 17 SDGs except for the ocean, maybe.
No, actually, we've done that.
No, ocean. He's done the water.
We've done 2 river cruise, which has been introduced. We got the river cruise owners to Murshidabad for the festivals.
Yes.
And they were so moved by the development potential in that region that they actually have 2 crews running from Calcutta to Murshidabad, 200 kilometers on the river Ganga, and they charge 23 lakhs of rupees, and they're booked for the next 3 years. Unfortunately, COVID, they lost the business, but it was a super success from the day they opened their ships with 20-25 bedrooms sailing up to Murshidabad.
Thank you. I just wanted to also make a request. If that film could be also made available in the resource center, so that then large number of people could actually watch the film, and we could also then share it through various social media platforms. Thank you.
Well, there are 2 films, Soniya, which you can share. This one and the first one, which we made during the launching of our festival, which was called the Resurgence Murshidabad. Our entire theme was Resurgence Murshidabad. So, it was something that's what was, what is, and what our future plan is. And we are very fortunate that all our wish list has been accomplished in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I will just sign off from there. My name is Vinod Menon. I'm one of the founder members of the National Disaster Management Authority, Government of India. Thank you. And also in the steering council of this RISE World Summit. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for your inputs.
Thank you for being there, Vinodji, because I know what's happening in the other room. So thank you for being here with us. Are there any other questions, any other thoughts? Please do share it with us. Ashwini?
I was amazed at how it was. Everybody has to come together, right? So, Sandipji, the whole framework that RISE, Infinity Foundation and IDOPRO works is on this framework called PECO, PECO, and you can see on our website as well. It's risepeco.world. So the PECO stands for partnership, entrepreneurship, citizenship, and ownership, right? So what we say is all of these 4 have to come together for a sustainable solution, and you've made that happen. So I'm like putting those 2 together and thinking this was such a great, fascinating, such a great, fascinating topic to talk about on the summit. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. It's been inspiring. And I must give you a small example of what I've seen, how you've inspired on a personal level. So how did I find Debashish? He had learned to post stories like you. He kind of follows that same thing of festival films. So there was only postings about Murshidabad festival and his stories about the palaces and about you. That's how much you've inspired people, even on a personal level. So thank you, sir. Thank you for not just sparking on a bigger platform, but even on very, very small personal ways where you've inspired lives, people like Devashish and a lot more people there. Thank you very, very much, sir, for spending this time telling us at this summit, teaching us how we can actually think of a multi-pronged approach to revival. One more chance to anybody who, if they want to speak, ask a question, feel free.
Please raise your hand. I can move you to the panelist section. Yeah, and I think Catherine was looking to talk as well. So.
No, Sandip sir, please come to Samthar. It's a very small village, and I hope you will come one day to Samthar and meet our Lepcha community. And it's so much I learned today through your talks, and I can't believe that I'm sitting with Raja Babu and and it's really incredible what you have done, and there's so much to learn for the young people. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. It's all about divine blessings, and if you have willing to do, then there's nothing that can stop anyone from doing what they want to do.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
I think Debasis had a question as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, I have no question, but I'm really excited to join in this platform. This is a great opportunity for me, and Soniya ma'am invited me to join this platform. So it's a great opportunity, and Sandip sir also present here. And by this webinar, we could understand many unfamiliar story, unknown story. And at the same time, I'd like to say that Murshidabad guide, so I have a many responsibility. I am trying every time, from the beginning in my life, I want to do extraordinary. I mean to say, for my home city, for my soil. It is my responsibility. I am every time ready. I am really grateful to join myself here. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Devashish, for your information, we're just finishing the training program for 30 tour guides, which is happening at the BDO office in Lal Gord. I don't know if you're part of that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm a part of that. Yes. Yeah.
I think people are quite happy with this first time training.
Yeah, it is.
And we will continue doing this and
sir.
supporting it from our Murshidabad Heritage Development Society.
Yes, yes, sir. I know that, and I am also pursuing the course. And among 25 students, 5 guides, I also include there. And it's a really great opportunity for Murshidabad guide. This is the first time, and sir also said in our classroom situations about your effort to for these types of training course. So it is really good, sir. We are really for your thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ajay ji, do you have a question?
No, I just have appreciation for Sandeep ji because I had visited Murshidabad in the 90s when I was working with ITC. They were trying to see the feasibility of the cruises happening on the Ganges that time. And thanks to Sandeep ji, now Murshidabad is, that time it was totally in ruins. And when I see the, Murshidabad now is, it's renovated and so much of work has been done there, thanks to the efforts of Sandeep ji. So hats off to him. Thank you so much for doing this, preserving the heritage and making it possible for so many people from across the world to see it. And I love his hotel, the Barakoti too, where we keep on sending our guests also. And of course, the 2 cruises that ply on it. We work with them also regularly. So thank you, sir.
In fact, Anantra had mentioned it last year. So last year we had both Janabi, the Pukhan family, speak on this platform, and they mentioned how they were going to some of the newer places and investing in and traveling to different regions to kind of revive tourism. She did mention Murshidabad, and that's when my curiosity started.
Yeah, the Phuket started initially, the Assam Bengal.
Yeah. So you see the big Anantra boat there in the video, and you say, okay, that's where they're going now. Yes, Sandeep ji, can you please share your thoughts? Please go ahead.
Oh, you see, actually,
sorry, is it for me or?
No, Sandeep, please.
This is Sandeep Bealia from New Delhi.
Hi, Sandeep.
My friend, I don't have enough words to really, express not just the appreciation, but the endorsement of what you've done and what you're attempting to achieve, and the inspiration and motivation that you've been able to mobilize. In the short interaction that we've had, and in my many 3 decades of plus more in the tourism, sector, I'm completely sort of overwhelmed. I would love to, and I'm going to share these thoughts with the ministry out here in Delhi. In fact, they keep talking about it actually in some way or the other. But more than anything, you're a beacon of light, not just from Murshidabad, which you've put the spot. It's not just a spot and a dot. It's going to find its place again. But more than that, I think you can be such a, I would use the word very carefully, guiding force to so many other regions. This morning I was on a CII South India seminar, a webinar where the districts of Kanyakumari and Tuticorin were presenting themselves. And I was really impressed and amazed at the in-depth commitment by the district collectors of the region, of these young cadre, Tamil Nadu cadre officers. And so encouraging and exciting. Not long ago, I was invited by the Gwalior administration and the district collector and the commissioner at the behest of the principal secretary, Madhya Pradesh government, to try and develop tourism and leverage Gwalior into a high-level curated experiential destination with focus on music, just like, for example, Banaras, the Gwalior Gharana. So, I mean, more than anything else, Sandipji, you are really at the top of all this, the pivot, and very, very, encouraging, interesting, great learning. I want to personally thank you for it and definitely acknowledge your contribution to Murshidabad. I'm so happy I could make that journey to Murshidabad, Chandannagar, Sehrampur, Barakpur, to trace the roots of the East India Company, the rise of the colonial European settlements. I hope very soon we'll be launching a very exciting curated trip to that part. Of course, let's on a separate note discuss other aspects about soft skills, training. We did some training at Barikoti of a very interesting type, but infrastructure, and more sort of detailing to it, which will, sharpen the tourism offering and the product to promote. But thank you both, Soniya ji and Sandip, for this fantastic, really well worth it. It's been, I've attended so many, but this is exciting.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Sandeep Dayal, sir, can you also leave your email for us, because we keep organizing I organize RISE tours online. Have you speak at one of our tourism sessions?
I'll call him Soniya. Sandeep is my boss from ITC days.
No, boss,
okay.
sir. We are all
Glad to
colleagues.
see
We are all
you there.
colleagues. We've all grown up together. No problem at all.
Thanks
With
to
great
him,
pleasure.
I've
Thank you,
learned a
Ajay,
lot.
for that. Thank you. Thank you, Ajay.
Thanks. Okay. Sandeep ji, thank you for sparking even more inspiration here, as you normally do, and your infectious smile does. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you everyone who attended the session. I hope it touched you as much as it touched me. Thank you, Srini, and everyone else for the extra time. We needed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.